Welcome to DTS 61. We get a free week of Taken King multiplayer modes, all that and more coming up.
You're listening to Destiny the Show. Welcome, Guardians.
What's up, everybody? My name is BBKDRAGOON. It's Destiny the Show, number 61. Ditty, how are you doing this week?
Very well, actually. I just got back from a lunch with my girlfriend's mother, and we had crab legs, and that was delicious.
Oh my gosh.
And I got new glasses this week, so...
Do they look good?
I think so.
Is that a silly question? Of course.
I mean, of course.
I went to the eye doctor this week. It must be great minds thinking alike. What'd you do this week?
I did the Court of Oryx stream breakdown. That's pretty much all I did this week.
A lot of people again, dude. Over 50 people checking out the stream. That's cool for us. You know, we like that.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'd love to see the support there. And we got a nice discussion going, about an hour and 24 minutes, I think. Yeah.
Yep. And the VOD for that is available on your channel.
Yes, youtube.com/wooshness, WOOOSHNESS.
It's linked on our website as well, destinytheshow.com. Did you play anything other than Destiny this week?
No, it was just Destiny all week. Just getting really hyped for Taken King.
So ready for 2.0. We've got a lot of news to talk about. I've been on that MGS5 grind, but with 2.0 almost here, I'm firing up Destiny. I'm really excited. So let's hop into the news. Now, first up, you put a post on our clan wall. It was like a weekly update of our own Destiny the Show weekly update. Pretty cool stuff. What's happening in that post? Where can people find it? And also, what's going on with your stream schedule for the next few weeks?
Sure. So it's posted on our Twitter, on our Facebook, and it'll be in the, if you're listening to this on YouTube, it'll be in the description below. It's just on our Bungie clan page, and it's basically a year one update for or year two update for Destiny the Show in general, and we're talking about new content. We've talked about it here on the show before. 2 new shows coming to Twitch, which is The Last Word, which is an investigative news program where we take one or a group of ideas about the Destiny universe and really dive into that and really investigate what's going on in that little sphere in the Destiny universe. And then the Destiny the Show lore segment, where we try and expand on different aspects of Destiny lore. I know there's a ton of people explaining the lore, but this one's going to be a little bit more in-depth again, a little bit more investigative. So those are coming to Twitch very soon, a little bit after the Taken King launch, because the first couple weeks of Taken King, we're going to be streaming all day, every day on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Destiny the Show. So September 15th, as soon as Taken King launches, I'm going to be on Twitch, 5 a.m. or whatever. It's going to be me drinking coffee, Taken King. That's
6 a.m. I think it comes out at 6 a.m. for you, right? No, you're right, 5 a.m. Because Taken King releases 3 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, so it's going to be 5 a.m. for me. My girlfriend's up getting ready for work anyways, so... I'm just going to roll out of bed, put the coffee pot on, and get ready. And then the week before, so this week that this podcast launches, we have that Crucible event, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. I'm going to be streaming starting September 8th through Friday, September 11th. I'll be streaming for about 4 hours starting at noon U.S. Central Time. That's, again, at twitch.tv/Destiny the Show. We're going to do a lot of Crucible event there.
Excellent. Yeah, let's talk about the Crucible event. It was in the weekly update this week. The weekly update talked about Court of Oryx, which was the last reveal stream before the Taken King. We're going to talk about that, recap it, give our feelings, but more importantly, really cool stuff. Update 2.0 is coming out on September 8th. By the way, it's a big patch. You will need 18 gigabytes free on your console. And it doesn't matter if you're not buying the Taken King. To continue playing Destiny, you're going to need to download this. So have the space available, and that patch is going to go live on September 8th. They're doing a Crucible preview event, and it comes out on September 8th. It's a one-week event where you can go try out Rift, one of the new game modes that's coming in the Taken King. And they're also letting you try out Mayhem, the other new game mode that's coming in the Taken King. You're going to be able to try, I think, the new multiplayer maps. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. And don't hold me to it. I know the game modes you're going to be able to give them a try. It's 1 full week. You don't have to own the Taken King. You don't have to have it pre-ordered. This is try before you buy or download. Think of it as your own personal E3 or Gamescom, only it happens at home on your couch. I love that quote from the weekly update. This is a great idea, and 2.0, bringing fresh new weapon balance. We have talked about it before here at length on the show. Changing the meta. Goodbye, Thorn. Goodbye, Last Words. Hello, Post Rifles and Auto Rifles. Truly looking forward to this. By the way, the new subclasses will not be available. Those are coming out on launch, and you're going to need to visit your class trainer or class person to actually get the quest to do your new subclass and level it up. But pretty awesome. Really looking forward to it. And Ditty, that's what you're going to be streaming, right?
Yeah, we're going to get a ton of viewer games in, so we're going to be rolling parties of 6, depending on how many people are in the chat, how many people want to join. We can rotate people in and out every couple games. A thing to note about Mayhem, Weapon 2.0 update is coming out that week, but with Mayhem, it's all about the supers, so don't even worry about, I don't have a good gun that's not Thorn. Who cares? I mean, just Nova Bomb or Titan Smash or Golden Gun or Blade Dance or whatever you want to do. I think I'm going to actually run Radiant Skin Warlock with Firebolt and Viking Funeral. And
the classic.
Yeah, the classic. The classic annoyance with Heart of the Praxic Fire. Nades everywhere. So that's going to be super fun. And also Rift. Rift is a new objective game mode in Destiny. And, aside from Control or Salvage, there hasn't been really an objective mode.
Nope. Neutral bomb assault. That's what it's like.
So this is totally new in the Destiny universe. It's going to be super awesome, super exciting. So I'm really, really looking forward to this next week.
Much super, such wow. Look, there's a ton of the things that are changing on Tuesday, guys, and I'd love to go through the patch notes, but we have way more important stuff to talk about. One of the things, though, I do want to bring up before we move along here, did you see that on 2.0's launch, the Grimoire score is going to be moved from the character nameplate, and it will now only be displayed in the character screen. This is weird. This is removing that showboating factor that Grimoire score holds. Like when you're in that Crucible lobby and you look at that dude's nameplate and you see, he's got 3600 Grimoire. He's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like we pass judgment on players based on their Grimoire. Now that it's moving to the character screen, I wonder why. Why do you think this is happening?
They're making way for where your new light level is going to go in the Taken King. So currently where Grimoire score is located, that's where your new light level will be. So 180, 186, 240, whatever your light level is, depending on your Taken King gear, once Taken King launches, that's where your light level is going to be.
Gotcha. There's some smaller sizes. If you're on the PS3, you need 20 gigabytes of hard drive space free on the PS3, but once it's installed, it'll only take up 10 gigs. And then if you're on the 360, it's only 10 gigs of hard drive space. It's 18 gigs, like I said, for PS4 and Xbox One. So get ready for a big download on Tuesday. I think that's just about it, unless there's anything you wanted to bring up in regards to the patch and what people can expect without going into crazy detail.
The thing at the bottom, actually, about the exotic bounties, that's super important.
Oh, so, yes. Do explain.
In terms of just regular bounties, so if you haven't completed a bounty before this patch, it's just going to be dismantled and discarded. But if you have bounties completed but not turned in, you will still be able to turn those in. But if you have an exotic bounty still active, that will auto-complete. So say you have 3 exotic or Elder Ciphers and you don't have any of the Prison of Elders weapons, those are just going to auto-complete. And then you just walk up to Varix and he's going to be like, hey, you want 3 different guns? I can give you 3 different guns.
Yep.
So
or a mentor missive.
Yeah. If you have mentor missives, I think those will be dismantled.
Yep.
The bounty actually has to be started.
You got to pick it.
Yeah. You actually have to pick a bounty in order for it to start, in order for it to autocomplete. So if you have any mentor missives just lingering, I would definitely pick those up before Taken King launches.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Court of Oryx stream. It was the last reveal stream. You did the whole reveal analysis after the stream, so I'm going to be picking your brain most of this. I watched it, saw it live, enjoyed it. What is the Court of Oryx? It's the new public event. How does it work? It's in the Hall of Souls on the Dreadnought. You can load into patrol mode with only 3 people. So this is not something that you can bring 6 people into in your own fire team, but if there are other people around, it supports up to 9 Guardians in total in the instance. So, what is Court of Oryx, Ditty?
It's basically a really streamlined Prison of Elders arena.
It's short,
super awesome.
Mini.
Yeah, it's public event length. So when you're patrolling the Dreadnought, there are these items that you can pick up called runes, and depending on the tier of the rune depends on the tier of public event or Court of Oryx public event.
So tier 1, tier 2, right? Like that's what we saw, blue and purple. So a rare and a legendary rune.
White and blue. We did see a legendary rune.
And that they didn't use, right? The legendary was for tier 3?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Yeah. So white, rare, and legendary, but we only saw them finding whites in the patrol mode.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think they found a rare one. I think they had to charge it to get the rare one.
Right. Something like that. So
I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Anyway, so assuming you have a rune, okay, you go to the Court of Oryx, and there are these obelisks or bust statues as you walk through this hallway. There's 3 on each side. They only really focused on the left side, so maybe the guys on the right side have something different that we need to experience for ourselves. But there are, as we said, 3 different tiers of Court of Oryx public events, and tier 1 enemies are going to be the easiest. There's you sacrifice your rune and it spawns in a boss, and the boss has a specific mechanic that you have to figure out how to complete, and then you just beat the boss, and whoever started the public event gets the loot from the chest.
So like you said, there's 6 statues in this hallway. It was cool to find out this was inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. If you guys have played that game, they have statues of the bosses that you fight, and it's in a very similar layout and arrangement. Now, the tier 1 enemies were bosses that had a unique mechanic. Can you describe what those bosses were like, or just a spattering of them?
Yeah, so for example, one of the bosses is an ogre that spawns into the arena, and he has a shield, right?
Yep.
You're thinking, oh, I could just use arc, solar, or whatever to take that shield down. That's not the case. No. This shield is immune. He's only damaged by Cursed Thrall explosions.
Yeah,
so you
cool.
actually have to kite Cursed Thrall around the boss, take out the Cursed Thrall, damage the shield to take the shield down so you can actually damage the boss, right? Mm-hmm. And whenever you instigate this public event, you have 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on the difficulty, to actually complete the public event. So,
yeah, all of them are on a timer. All of the Court of Oryx missions are on a timer to be completed.
Yeah, timing is a factor. And to prevent AFKs, if the person who started the public event dies or leaves the arena, they need to come back within like 18 seconds, or the public event just dismantles. It just goes away. You don't complete the public event. Yep. So you actually need to be actively playing in the arena to actually get the loot.
Yep. Now, tier 2 bosses, let's talk about the level differences in tier 1. So tier 1 bosses are around level 36 difficulty, as tweeted out by Bungie. They said that tier 2 are much harder, similar to Nightfall difficulty, and we did get to see some of those tier 2 bosses. And what level were they?
They were level 41, which was higher than max level.
Wait. What did Luke Smith tweet out?
So in year 1 Destiny, level discrepancy was massive, right?
33%.
Yeah, 33% reduced damage if you were a single level below. That's not the case in year 2 Destiny. So even though the players like Lace Up Lauren and Urk and Ben, the 3 people who were playing Court of Oryx on the stream, even though they were only level 40 and they were fighting level 41 enemies, they were dealing the same amount of damage, right? Because their light level was high enough to take on these bosses.
Yeah, that discrepancy isn't as big as in year 1. The reason I brought this up is because a lot of complaints in House of Wolves occurred when you're level 34 and you have to beat level 35 Skullus, and it just felt like a cheap way to implement difficulty. They just deal more damage to me and I deal less damage. So it's not as big a deal as people thought it would be. But, our initial reaction in the Skype group was a little bit apprehensive, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say so. But once they explained it, it's like, oh, that makes sense now. And so the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 public events in the Dreadnought is, so tier 1 enemies, there's a pool of like 6 or 7 bosses, right? So depending on which public event you start, it'll give you a random boss, and it's so that you don't get the same boss over and over and over again. It's actually, going to give you a different boss every single time. And then tier 2 public events will give you 2 of those bosses at the same time
with higher levels and higher difficulty.
Yeah, so it just adds to the chaos, right? And it's not so much as bullet sponge bosses or I'm a level under so I deal less damage. It's more about learning the mechanic of the fight so that you can complete it better. So I think one of the tier 2 public events that they spawned in was one of the bosses had an immune shield that only dropped if he was the last person in the arena. So that means you have to beat the other bosses or the other boss first, right? And you have to kill all the ads. The other boss that spawned in with him, I think it was the 2 Knight brothers. So
who have to be
these
close.
2 Knight brothers have immune shields as well, and they only go down if they're close together. So they had to kite together those 2. Oh, no, I don't think that was at the same time. But
it doesn't matter. Those bosses were still seen.
But that's still an example. That could happen, right? So you need to take out the other boss in order to get that Cabal shields down so you can actually take him out. So it's all about learning the mechanic of each boss, and then once it throws 2 of them at you, you're like, okay, now I have to figure out which one's less annoying and which one do I have to do first.
Absolutely love that idea, because that randomization is going to make it unpredictable. It's going to be fun. There's going to be different combinations, a lot of different combinations, right? That's going to keep this event from getting stale too quickly. Now, I'm not saying this is something you're going to be playing 4 months from now, but when it releases, and for probably the first few months, this is a cool activity. It's a good idea, a nice way to do public events. In this stream, they were only using 3 Guardians who were level 40s, but other Guardians in the patrol space, if they're nearby, will see you completing the Court of Oryx and can join in at the start when you're basically doing the whole rune thing. And it can support up to 9 people in that instance. I imagine with 9 level 40 Guardians, people are going to be tearing those bosses apart. But there's not a lot of cover. There didn't appear to be a lot of cheese spots, and the mechanics of especially the 2 brothers who, I don't know if they're brothers, but the 2 Hive Knights that have to be close together, right? That's a cool idea. You have to aggro one, bring it to the other one. We've talked about those kind of mechanics and wanting to see more of them. I was pretty pleased with this. In terms of the rewards, Eris reputation, what is up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Guardian that was on stream was wearing an Eris class item, most likely. But after completing each public event, for tier 1 enemies, or for tier 1 events, you got like 25 reputation, which is standard patrol reputation gain, right? And then the higher the tier, they gained 60 reputation for tier 2 public events completion. So Eris has reputation, which leads us to believe that obviously it's confirmed that she's going to continue her reputation past 4. She's going to have new gear for us, and she's going to be another vendor. She's going to be relevant again. That's awesome.
And they wouldn't show us tier 3. Thank you, Deej. Now, we've been told that tier 3 rewards will be of the highest quality to match the skill it will undoubtedly take to emerge victorious. So tier 3 is probably going to be raid level. Well, maybe not raid level, but maybe nightfall roll chances. I don't know. It's just pure speculation.
It would be raid level difficulty.
Yes.
In terms of completing it. So
interesting.
So one of my I'm 50-50 on this, right? So since tier 2 just adds another boss, what if tier 3, they're like, you've taken 1, you've taken 2 bosses. What about 3 bosses at the same time? That would be like, come on, guys, let's be a little bit more creative than that.
Yeah.
Remember that Reddit post really long time ago, like how strike bosses should have been? I want Fogoth to spawn in and throw curse thralls at us.
Yeah, yes.
That would be hilariously awesome and challenging. I want that, But we don't know what's going to happen with tier 3, so who knows? It's going to be fun.
And the other thing is, tier 1, 2, and 3 were 3 of the 6 statues in the hallway. We don't know what the statues on the other side of the hallway do. Maybe they do the same thing. I highly doubt it. But
maybe they do nothing.
I mean, they're just there, for DLC, right? Who knows?
Oh gosh! Don't give him any ideas.
Relax. Is there anything? I feel like there's a couple of other things that we saw. Oh, that's right.
Swords.
Yeah. Go for it.
Swords. Swords.
Yep, we finally got to see it, man.
We saw an exotic sword, and we actually got to see the perks. Yeah, we actually got to see the perks. It's an exotic sword. So there's only 3 swords confirmed in Destiny. We saw the exotic sword that she was holding was solar damage. We saw the arc sword that was teased in the Year 2 stream, and we've seen. And there's also a void one. Depending on the sword, it seems like it has a different slam attack. So if you pick up a Sword of Crota, you hit the right trigger, it's just as a downward slam, right?
Yep.
The exotic sword that we saw on the stream did an uppercut. The void sword, I think, the void sword did like a spinning slash, and I'm like, yes, I want that. That looks really cool.
And you can block with the sword, and it's third person, so just like we thought.
And it uses heavy ammo, and it has different stats. It has efficiency and energy. So efficiency is how much super energy, or how much ammo, I'm using quotes here.
Yeah, like
ammo
how many
it
actions
consumes.
can you take before it depletes, right?
And then energy is ammo capacity. We saw on the stream, she used a heavy synth. It gave her 55 sword charge ammo.
Did a lot of damage. And knockback. Did you see the knockback?
It did so much damage. So someone in my breakdown stream chat said, how much damage does the sword do? And I paused it. The first swipe or uppercut, 30,000 damage. I'm like,
oh my gosh,
that is huge. That's
especially with Year 2 numbers, dude. Oh man.
So the swords do a lot of damage.
I'm worried about weapon reviews because all of our like normal stats that I'm used to are going to be changing. But
we also found out that swords are not going to be found in the wild. You actually have to complete a quest line to obtain that sword.
Yeah, that's cool. It's everybody getting a sword if they want it.
I mean, it's putting lore behind a weapon that you invest time into getting,
Salvaged relic data is now decrypted. Not of consequence.
Evening, Guardian. Earn your honor, Guardian.
Titan survey data requested by Vanguard.
Okay, so Marty O'Donnell ended up winning his legal battle against Bungie. It was April 2014. He was fired from Bungie without cause. They basically asked him, or I guess demanded of him, to surrender all of his stocks and his shares in the company, as well as not allowing him to basically be a part of their profit participation plan. Up until this point, we had no idea why he got fired, but Marty won his lawsuit against Bungie, and so we had an article from VentureBeat that came out giving us a lot of backstory and insight into the relationship between Activision and Bungie, and how Marty was ultimately removed from the company over anger and frustration with Activision's choices towards creative influence. Who is Marty O'Donnell, Ditty, and why is he such an important figure in this whole story?
He was the audio director at Bungie. He's one of Bungie's founding members, so he's been there since the beginning, and he's really focused on maintaining the creative process for artists. So anything audio related, everything you heard when you played a Bungie game, he was behind. So voiceover, sound effects, music, obviously the music, because the music is huge, right? Not just in Bungie games, but in the video game industry. Marty O'Donnell is a legend because you hear the Halo music, you're like, yeah, I know what video game that's from. And that's insane. Like, if you think about that, that is incredible, Yep. He makes incredible music, and he's just awesome. So it's just, man, Bungie really screwed the pooch with this one.
Yeah, and it's a mix of the Activision choice and additionally maybe, Marty's actions. So let's go through the backstory here, you guys. On April 16th, 2010, Bungie and Activision Publishing agreed to make a 5-part video game franchise dubbed Destiny. So back in 2010, they knew they were going to do this. I'm going to be quoting a lot from the article because this is very interesting if you're a Destiny fan. And I quote, "The original release date was set for September 24th, 2013, and came out a year later in 2014. O'Donnell composed music for every application of the Destiny franchise." So that in and of itself is quite interesting. It was set to release in 2013, and O'Donnell was going to score the music for everything, every application. That's the key sentence there, right? So O'Donnell composed a symphonic suite of 8 movements working with Paul McCartney, and this was recorded in 2013. It was called The Music of the Spheres. It was to be used throughout the Destiny franchise. Marty also worked with the audio team on the cinematics, sound design, sound effects, and more. Ditty, you're a musician. Can you give our listeners an idea how big 8 movements is?
Okay, so, well, obviously it depends on the piece, right?
Yes,
but
yes.
Classic symphonic or orchestral suite is 3 or 4 movements, and that usually takes 7 to 12 minutes to complete. So triple that, and that's how. So
it's a decent amount of music. It's
yeah, from beginning to end. That's usually how long it takes if you're just playing it straight through.
If it was just a singular game, you'd almost think 3 to 4 movements, right? When you hear 8 movements that were done, recorded in 2013, that goes beyond just the original year of Destiny, doesn't it?
Yeah, if we had a soundtrack, it would probably last 4 hours, to be honest.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Activision didn't have plans to release the Music of Spheres as a standalone work. Now, that means releasing a soundtrack, right? And all of the Halo games had soundtracks that were released, and basically all of that music is Marty O'Donnell's music. People purchased it, and it had its own copyright stuff associated with it. But Activision didn't plan on doing it. Here's the big deal. At the 2013 E3 Destiny demo, Activision switched the music from the trailer without consulting Marty O'Donnell. They removed the Music of Spheres music that was originally with the trailer and replaced it with their own music. They didn't consult him, and they did this right before E3, so Marty didn't know. O'Donnell was angered by this and felt that Activision overstepped their role and assumed creative control. What do you just think about that right there, Ditty, before we go further?
You don't do that to
He's the audio
director. Yeah, you really don't do that. No, absolutely not.
Yep. Harold Ryan, the CEO of Bungie, agreed with Marty O'Donnell and his anger, so he filed a veto letter to Activision about this complaint. Activision, in turn, overruled this objection. It's really weird, like how it's like this political process. Overruled! And then, Phoenix comes out and points his finger. Marty tweeted that Activision's music was used in the trailer when it came out, and not his. He also threatened Bungie employees in an attempt to keep the trailer from being posted online and interrupted press briefings. Now, that's quotes from the article. I don't get the threat part. I don't know what he was doing to sort of say, don't post this online, right? But tweeting out at the same time that your company is revealing this big thing, hey, I didn't do this, it's Activision, that's not great PR, and it doesn't really, company CEOs don't really like that, right?
Yeah, that's just, I think he was throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum at that point. Yeah,
it's understandable salt. So, the court filings say that O'Donnell believed he was preserving Bungie's creative process, artistic integrity, and reputation, keeping faith with fans, and protecting Bungie and its intellectual property from Activision's encroachment into artistic decisions. End quote. Dude, I love that. That is what the rumor people have felt the whole time with Destiny, right? Activision is this evil force that's putting influence on Bungie and changing the outcome of this game, right? Now, we can read into this further and further, but Ryan, the CEO of Bungie, felt that Marty's conduct hurt the Bungie team, hurt the game, and drove a negative online discussion. And that's basically the seed that led to him getting fired in April. Now, the weird thing here is, basically, O'Donnell, I'm going to quote here, argued that the audio work could not be completed until the game was in a bug-free, playable state. He felt the treatment was unfair, but said he would continue to work on the game. So, what do you get from this when he said you can't complete the audio work for the game until it's complete? That was in 2013, a year before Destiny was to come out, and he's still talking about the game being in a buggy, unplayable state.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm not a game developer, I'm not an audio director for a game company, so I don't really know exactly how it works, but it almost seems like, there are different aspects of the game that have to complete in order for an audio cue to come in, right? So like I need to run up this hill, and once I get to the hill, my character is going to sigh because he was running and he's panting or whatever. Yeah. And like that audio cue can't happen if running up the hill just like explodes the world, right?
Yep.
If a bug happens and I just fall through the earth, like, then it's not going to happen. So like audio, anything audio, like music, sound effects, whatever, is completely dependent on game animations, game graphics, game environment. So I would completely understand that the game needs to be playable in order for those audio cues to take place. So I can understand some frustration there.
It also says in the article, it was revealed through the court process that Destiny went through major story changes in August 2013. So that kind of confirms a rumor that was floating around. We could play Captain Speculation all day, and I'd rather not. But I think it's interesting to see Activision does possess a whole lot of control over the marketing of this game. And it's just good to be aware of this relationship between the two companies. It was cool to see this insight. Marty ultimately got his shares back. He got paid for vacation time that he wasn't compensated for, and he also is getting paid for his profit participation plan. The first payment was like $140,000. So Destiny made some decent money, right?
Yeah, he is I think it was like Destiny made what $380 something million in the first 5 days after launch. So like, yeah, Destiny made some pretty good money. So I think that would be a nice settlement for Marty at this point.
It's sad to see that he's not involved with this game. You know, Marty O'Donnell is Bungie to me in a lot of ways. Like when you think of a Bungie game and you think of Halo, you cannot think of Halo without that opening theme song or the battle themes or just the music itself is such a core element. I'm sad to see that he's not a part of Destiny, but I am glad to see that the court decided in his favor and he was paid, obviously, what, was deserved, or at least what, the court felt like was deserved. I guess it was arbitration, so that's a different style than a jury being there. It's the judge that decides everything, I think.
Yeah, and I think fans of Destiny should not be concerned about the music of Destiny moving forward. We've said that Marty composed 10 years worth of music. That might not be 100% true. I mean, sitting down as a composer, you might, plan out 10 years worth of themes, but not like actual compositions.
Yeah.
And Michael Salvatore, he's worked with Marty for decades, right? He knows Marty's style. He knows Marty's work. So I would bet that he's going to continue on with Marty's themes and stylistic choices in terms of music. So he's going to take those themes that Marty had ideas for, and as the game evolves, like you can't compose 10 years worth of music and then be like, oh, we got the sixth expansion coming out. Let's get the sixth expansion music that you composed 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, totally.
The game evolves, and you don't make a 10-year game in a month, right?
No, and they don't know what thematics they're even going to explore. Exactly.
Like the Destiny universe is evolving continuously. Every month we get updates, right? Mm-hmm. Or it seems like. And, the music stylistically can change because, who knew that the fourth DLC we got, The Taken King, would be Oryx, right? And that connects to Crota.
Third DLC.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, fourth
you know what I mean.
Kind of Destiny release. I think they know what you meant. I think it's very well said,
so,
too.
The stylistic choices could change throughout the development of Destiny.
Yeah, and I like the audio direction as it is, and I have full confidence. So, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The current audio director is doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes progressing forward. Woo, that was an interesting topic. I thought it was. I hope the listeners enjoyed it too. I think little bits of any info we get between the Activision Bungie relationship I really like because it's interesting. It's just very little bits of insight, right? Where can people find your content?
Twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, DTS, and twitch.tv/Destiny the Show.
Excellent. Remember to check out our friends at DestinyTracker.com, the best place for all the stats for your Destiny Guardian. Go to DestinyTheShow.com for all the links from today and more. Twitter.com/DestinyTheShow. And then you can follow me on YouTube.com/BBKDRAGOON or on Twitter.com/BBKDRAGOON. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy 2.0. It's going to be a great week. And Ditty, I'm looking forward to seeing your stream on Tuesday.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you all there.